Welcome back to the Mad Spideyverse. I'm Mad Spidey, and thank you once again for tuning into my channel. Today is going to be another one of my statue collection, or should I say, Comic Book Community Award nominated, or finalist even, for Best Statue Unboxing / Review. Obviously, if you haven't voted in the Comic Book Community Awards, please do so. Please, you don't have to vote for me, but think about voting for me. I know there is a big push in a lot of the community for me to actually beat the big boys, the old David versus Goliath sort of showdown. And I'd love to win, to be perfectly honest. I know this is supposed to be fun, but I'd love to win. Get recognized for something that I actually love to do would be fantastic. But in the same sort of scenario, I'm just very, very grateful that people have nominated me. So, but as I said, this is going to be my statue collection. I don't know what episode number it's up to. I've lost count already. I'll put it in the description anyway. But basically, now I've sort of toiled with this idea of cutting down the spiel, doing the full spiel, things like that. And as a lot of people have sort of said to me, the general consensus seems being that, this could be the first time somebody's ever watched one of these videos. So if I do a cut down version of it, obviously they're missing out. So I will do the whole spiel as per normal. So obviously if you've seen heaps of these videos before, because as I said, I think I'm in the 30s or the 40s or something like that. You can just, fast forward it if you wish. That's fine. I just greatly appreciate you just turning it on, whether it's for 5 seconds or the whole video. I'm greatly appreciated either way. So anyway, my statue collection is based on my Bowen Designs statue collection. Bowen Designs was prevalent in the mid to late 90s to early 2000s. They were the premium statue company at the time, especially with Marvel, because they mainly just had a Marvel contract. They did do a little bit of DC and some other bits and pieces before they just pretty much just went all Marvel. But in saying that, they were the statue company at the time. Like obviously nowadays, there's thousands of statue companies. Obviously, you got your big ones. You got Sideshow, but you've also got like Iron Studios, XM Studios. You name it, everybody seems to be doing it at this present time. So, so pretty much, Bowen Designs, Marvel, they did 3 main ranges. They did a mini bust, a mini statue, and a full-size statue. Now, with the mini statue and the full-size statue, 9 times out of 10, they were exactly the same, just on different scales. They also did, I'm pretty sure it was 5 phases over the years. It was either 5 or 6, but I'm pretty sure it was 5. So each phase, they basically had, your mainstay characters. They had Spidey and Iron Man and Captain America and Hulk and things like that. But they did do quite a bit of diversity as well. Mainly in the mini busts, they tend to go a lot more diverse, really into sort of the back catalogue of characters, your lesser known villains and heroes and, even sort of, friends of heroes and stuff like that as well. But not so much in the full-size statues. Now, today will be another one of the mini busts. And as I said just before, mini busts, they really went diverse in a lot of the sort of characters and things like that. Generally, the more sort of unknown sort of characters, they would generally do a smaller run, because obviously they don't want to make 5 to 10,000 of one thing and they only, sell 1,000 of them. Obviously, like me, there were a lot of completists, even though I never got to complete it, because there's a lot of statues, there's a lot of money. But I did my best, and I amassed quite a bit of a collection. But as I said, so today's video will be one of the Bowen Designs mini busts, and this is what I mean by diverse. Like literally before this bust was even released, I'd never even heard of this character. When I first saw him, I thought that looks like, but I will get to that. So today's mini bust will be Blazing Skull. So you're looking at it going, well, that looks like Ghost Rider. And that's what I thought. I thought, oh, maybe this is just a different persona of Ghost Rider. And I'm like, I've got to get that. Because I do love Ghost Rider and things like that. And I'm just like, I've got to get it. It looks like Ghost Rider, but it's not actually Ghost Rider. Or a, different costume or different, reiteration of Ghost Rider or anything like that. It's his own character. And I actually found out that this character was actually debuted in the Golden Age, like in the early 40s. So this character's been around for a long time. Obviously, a lot of people will be like, I've never even heard of him. And as I said, I'd never even heard of the character either before I actually bought this. So as I said, Golden Age character. He has popped up here and there in Marvel Comics. So obviously back in the Golden Age, he probably would have been a timely character or something like that. But obviously the old school Golden Age collectors would have heard of him, or maybe own a book of him or something like that. But yeah, it's very cool little mini bust actually. Now getting back to the bust itself, what I always mention as well is the trademark grey box, which always has like character names and like pages of things, like sort of like a mashup inside the actual design of the grey box. On the mini bust themselves, they will basically have the description of like the mini bust, like size, who sculpted the prototype and things like that. On the other side, which the mini statue and the full-size statue did not have, is actually a synopsis of the character himself. And they generally will put the first appearance as a picture on there, or an older book, and then something a little bit more recent, like a book released more like closer to the time of release of this particular statue itself. And the other thing to note, obviously, is they put an edition number on the bottom. Now, only 500 of these were made worldwide. 500. That's a very, very small run when it comes to this sort of stuff. Most mini busts from Bowen Designs went anywhere from about 2,000 to 3,000 up to, I think it was maybe 8, maybe even 10,000. Was I think one of the biggest runs. So 500 is very, very small. Now the other thing you'll notice is there's no number next to the 500, which could mean generally one of two things. One, misprinted label. The other one, it could be an artist proof, which is even rarer again. So once we open it up, show you what it looks like, then we'll find out. All right, so open up the actual box itself. Now, the other thing to note, obviously, once you take it out of the box and you see the styrofoam, most of the time, and I'll use this term loosely, most of the time, actually not really loosely, it's probably a good 80 to 90%. Some of the earlier stuff didn't do it. They would generally put a Bowen Designs symbol or up on the actual styrofoam, obviously to let you know which way to open it. But there are a few odd ones here and there that didn't actually do that. So, all right. Now, there's no extra pieces or anything like that. It's all encompassed in one unit. And a translucent skull. So that with a light behind it would actually look really awesome. But that is a very, very cool looking mini bust. Now, as I've said before, generally with a mini bust, they don't go too grand with the designs quite often. Like the base is usually fairly simple. So in this case, you can see very, very simple. Depending on what phase it was, a lot of the early phases, they wouldn't give them arms. It'd literally be like as you see it. The back would be fairly basic like this. Now, this was actually released, I think, maybe phase 3 or phase 4. So it's actually quite uncommon now in that sort of later phases for them not to have arms or, holding something or, a little bit more of the bust itself. But in saying that, it's still very awesome and I'm glad I own it. So that is Bowen Designs Blazing Skull mini bust. So, very, very cool. So obviously, you know, the Golden Age collectors, quite, as I said, quite possibly will know this character. But most probably newer readers have probably never even heard of him. But yeah, as I said, still very cool. Love it. Glad I own it. So, and there we go. So I'll put him back down in there. So that will do for this particular video. Thank you so much if you watched it all the way, even if you fast forwarded through all the description and just got to the mini bus reveal itself. I appreciate you either way. So yeah, so that'll do for this particular video. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, don't forget about the Comic Book Community Awards. I will leave the link to the website down below. And obviously, yeah, if you'd like to nominate or, you know, choose me as, you know, your finalist for best statue unboxing / review, I'd greatly appreciate it. If you don't, then vote for one of the other legends that are in this. So anyway, once again, thank you very much. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and Spidey out.